Hey everyone, welcome to a special bonus episode of Locked On Lakers for a Sunday. Lakers lose game one, 114-103. They got a lot of work on before game two. We'll get into all of it next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, and obviously sometimes on Sundays. No matter how or where you get your podcast, this one's always free and never behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where over 23,000 subscribers are all hanging out and wondering what the Lakers might be able to do to get over the proverbial hump against the Nuggets. They've lost now 9 in a row against the Nuggets, following a 114-103 loss in game one up in Denver, first round of the playoffs. Andy, this is significant on a few levels. First of all, it is the sad demise of the undefeated record of the new theme. I was really hoping that would last longer. But more importantly, the Lakers, as a group, had certainly alluded to it. LeBron James was pretty explicit about it. The Lakers would need to play fairly close to flawless basketball to beat the Nuggets in this series. Game one was not that on a lot of levels, and it showed.
I thought they had a really good first half. I thought they looked like a team that understood the task ahead of them in the first half. And I thought for them, it was not perfect because the Lakers are not good enough to be perfect and Denver is too good to be perfect against. But I thought for the most part in the first half, they did a really nice job. Really, things I thought began to fall apart in the second half of the third quarter. It was progressing in that direction anyway, because it felt like the Lakers just stopped running an offense of any kind over the course of the third quarter.
Whether that was Denver adjusting to what the Lakers were doing or the Lakers just getting away from what was working, very likely a combination of both. An offense that was humming early in this game started to slow down in the second, completely ground to a halt in the third, only 18 points.
Yeah, Denver went on in the last 4 or 5 minutes of the third quarter, a 13-0 run. Old friend Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who had been held scoreless in the first half, hit 3 threes in that period, 4 in the fourth quarter in all. Then in the fourth quarter, Denver started out without Jokic, and I felt like that was a real opportunity for the Lakers to do some damage. It was an unusual rotation for the Lakers. Usually LeBron sits for the last, 3 or 4 minutes of the first and third quarter. Sometimes plays the last minute of it, but he generally gets his rest around the 7-ish, 8-ish minute mark of the first and third quarters. He ended up playing the entire first and third quarters. And then at the start of the second and fourth, you had AD in there. He's typically out to start those quarters. They went big in the second quarter with Jackson Hayes and then smaller to start the fourth. But in that fourth, Jokic was not there. And I thought it was a real opportunity for the Lakers to do damage, and they did none. And ultimately, there were a lot of things that went wrong for the Lakers. But if you're looking for specific just sections of the game where things absolutely fell apart, those were really the parts that I look at.
I think a lot of fans will look at the, that run that Denver made. The Lakers were up by, I think it was either 10 or 12 in the second quarter. And Denver goes on, a quick run and they close the gap. And that there was an 8-0 run stretch in there before, and Darvin called timeout. It's 3 possessions. LeBron, 2 of the buckets for Denver were off LeBron turnovers. And that was a turning point. The Lakers couldn't kind of hold on to that lead, but they actually, I thought, responded reasonably well to that. I mean, I understand you're up, 10 points, 12 points, whatever, it's not like they let their foot off the gas. Denver gets a vote, and they're real good. They are the defending champions for a reason. And so, the Lakers respond well to that and go up into the half by up 3 after a LeBron triple from Boulder, basically, to end the half. But the writing was on the wall there a little bit. The offense started to deteriorate a little bit in that second quarter. There were some critical turnovers. The Lakers struggled to keep Denver off the glass, which was a theme throughout the night. And then, like you say, in the third quarter, the wheels really started to come off. And, they scored 43 points in the second half. I mean, I understand there are defensive issues, and we're going to get into some of the individual performances and stuff like that. But the Lakers, you cannot score 43 points in a playoff game over 2 quarters and expect to win. And it just the offensive output was what did them in. 114 points, particularly when you're struggling to score that much in Denver, is not bad. Like, that's tolerable from a points allowed standpoint. 103 is not even close to good enough. No,
and of those 103, more than half of them came from LeBron and AD. Mm-hmm. LeBron had 27 points on 10 of 16 from the field, 3 of 5 from behind the arc. Anthony Davis, 32 points on 12 of 23, 8 of 9 at the line. He also had 14 rebounds, 3 on the offensive glass, 5 assists, 4 blocks. If you are looking for positives from this game, it's that Anthony Davis definitively shrunk that gap, at least in one game, between him and Nikola Jokic. And we talked about that heading into this series. Like, it will be very, very unlikely for AD to outplay Jokic over the course of an entire series because, quite frankly, Jokic is better than him beyond just being a very difficult matchup for AD. But one of the things we kept stressing was the difference between them cannot be just definitively pronounced. And I thought tonight was one of those nights. I thought AD really held up his end of the bargain. But then you go up and down the rest of the roster. 13 points for D'Angelo Russell on 6 of 20 shooting, 1 of 9 from behind the line.
We'll do a second segment on for the show. Right. We'll talk a lot about D'Lo because he was the focus of, I think, about 85% of the post game and really even in-game commentary from fans and kind of Lakers social media.
Would not have seen that coming. Very surprising.
Yeah, it was.
Rui had 7 points on just 4 shot attempts. Austin Reaves had 13 points, 5 of 9 shooting, but 2 of 6 from behind the arc, and it was pretty backloaded. Like, Austin,
he was invisible. He was invisible for most of the game.
He spent most of this game, like most of his teammates, other than LeBron, AD, D'Lo, and Taurean Prince, like seemingly not looking for his offense at all. Taurean, much maligned, he was the 3rd best Laker tonight, and that's not a good formula for winning games, but Taurean actually played pretty well. He had 11 points off the bench. He was attacking the basket, 4 rebounds. He also outscored the rest of the bench 11-0. Spencer Dinwiddie, Gabe Vincent, Jackson Hayes in, I believe it was 25 combined minutes, 0 shot attempts.
Right. That's the part. It's like zero
shot.
0 shots.
Attempt.
And
zero. Okay.
Look, the Lakers are not built right now for tremendous bench output. Like, I understand that. Like, they are leaning into their starting lineup by putting, a bunch of people who have at different points been 6th men into the starting lineup. You don't have Jared Vanderbilt. And Taurean Prince is coming off the bench and whatever. But 25 minutes between 3 guys and none of them take a shot, Andy, that I need the sports and info folks at ESPN to look this up. That can't be something that happens a lot.
Okay. I found, because I was looking through some of the different advanced numbers and stuff like that, I found a shocking stat from tonight. 13 minutes for Spencer Dinwiddie. Just mentioned he had no shots. Guess what his usage percentage was in this game?
I mean, low. Couldn't be that high.
Guess.
I don't know. 2.
Lower.
1.
Lower.
There aren't many numbers.
He had a 0.0 usage percentage. I did not think that was possible for a guard. He had a 0.0
point guard
usage percentage for a ostensibly scoring point guard. That feels impossible.
Yeah.
That feels impossible.
That's critical to note because the context for the D'Lo conversation, I think we'll get into a lot of this for Monday's show too, but the context in terms of talking about D'Lo, that's the sort of thing that is relevant to the conversation. But so we'll talk about Russell. We'll talk about some of the other things that just weren't good enough for the Lakers in this game one, and we'll get to it after this.
Well, we want to let people know that Locked On Lakers is brought to you by PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. The easiest and most exciting way to play DFS is just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 or more player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in, get on playoff action, and you can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks. You and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $100 into $1,000 with basketball and hockey entries that are correct today on PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. PrizePicks now offers Apple Pay for easy and quick deposits into your account this basketball season. 60 seconds, you submit your entries, your picks are all in, you're good to go. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's easy.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time, Andy. We've all had frustrating ticket buying experiences. We're trying to get in that concert we want. We want, you go to an MLS game. We want to go to opening night. We want to go to a playoff game, whatever it might be. Well, Game Time, particularly when it comes to baseball, it's an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. I know the Dodgers are struggling right now, but it's not going to be like this forever. And so tickets are tough to come by, and Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. This is actually something that I do with my kids all the time, where we're like, hey, you guys feel like going to, for us, it's LAFC games. Usually I'm like, hey, you guys feel like going to the game? And we're like, yeah, they do. So let's wait. It gets closer to closer. Boom. We hop on the Game Time app and we check out, where we can get seats. And they're always discounted at that point. And boom, we're there. Last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so let us stipulate here, Andy, that D'Angelo Russell had a bad game. He got off to a quick start, a couple buckets early in the first quarter, and it was downhill from there. He finishes, pull up the box score here, 6 of 20, 1 of 9 from three-point range, 13 points on 20 shots. 20 shots to get 13 points. He did not visit the free throw line all night. So it was a terrible offensive game for D'Angelo Russell.
Not a great defensive game either.
No, I mean, he had a couple decent moments, and good plays. He
lost KCP on a lot of movement.
KCPs a couple times. Like, Denver is a challenge to guard, and guys were getting cooked on a variety of places. But D'Lo played, I think, a fairly standard D'Angelo Russell defensive game, which is really problematic when he shoots 1 of 9 from three-point range and needs 20 shots to get 13 points. He was the focus of almost all of the in-game attention and post-game attention from Lakers media, Lakers fans. Got to bench him, got to this, that, and whatever. I thought that overall, the results were terrible. I thought most of the shots he took, not all of them because he's D'Angelo Russell, but most of the shots looked like normal D'Lo shots. The 1 of 9 from three-point range, some of them rimmed in and out. That happens with shooters, but those were generally open three-pointers that you want D'Angelo Russell to take. The results were terrible. If he shoots like this for the rest of the series, it is not going to go 5 games. But I feel like the conversation was missing some of the, bench him. He should have been off the floor. The Lakers should bench him for game 2, whatever it might be. I just think a lot of that's just an overreaction. He's one of your best players. He's, a marquee shooter. He missed a ton of shots in this game.
Well, it's predictable that would be the reaction because for Laker fans and D'Angelo Russell in the playoffs, this is PTSD stuff. I mean, this feels like a movie where you've seen the sequel, you've seen part 3, you've seen part 4, and right now we're like at like Police Academy part 9, and it's just disgusting to watch. But first of all, it's funny. The 1 of 9 from behind the arc is going to get the most attention because it's the loudest stat. But like you, I thought most of those threes were pretty good looks. They were open. They're the type of shots he should take. Some of them rimmed in and out. Same shots game 2, I think, are just as likely to go down. Mm-hmm. To me, the misses around the rim, the floaters in the lane that didn't go in,
he had a couple. The worst shots I thought were a couple in the first half where he got into the lane. But it should be noted that his shots that he was making early were also in the lane. He got to the bucket. Sure. He did, but the one that's where he was, I think, hunting for contact, which is the worst D'Lo shot. And if he takes 20 of them, you're going to get a couple of those. Those I thought were legitimately bad, where you could tell he was hunting for the contact more than trying to get the bucket.
Well, I was just going to say, I thought those hurt more because they often turned into Denver runouts. And I think those actually did more damage than just your run-of-the-mill missed 3. The idea, though, that he should have been benched in this, and also really quick for what it's worth, I heard D'Angelo Russell after the game talking about his night shooting, and it's an interesting way of looking at it. We'll see how he reacts in game 2, but he actually said that he was encouraged by the idea that he thought most of his looks were pretty clean and that he managed to get them. And he's like, he sounded in certain ways more surprised that he managed to get those type of looks against this team than the missing part of it. Like the missing sometimes happens. What I also thought was the idea that he should have been benched. My question is for who? Like for who tonight? Like, again, so many guys also weren't making shots or frankly weren't looking for their shots. And especially as the offense started getting more and more mush, you needed somebody out there who can at least theoretically run it. You need somebody out there whose outside shot, this point in the season, D'Lo is going to be respected, even on a night where he's not making it. You're not going to ignore D'Angelo Russell, if nothing else, not this early in a series, because he's been too good of a shooter. And again, Rui was not looking for a shot tonight. Reaves was not looking for a shot tonight. Spencer Dinwiddie and Gabe Vincent weren't even looking for the ball, much less their shot. Like, somebody needed to be out there. And if you're upset at Darvin for playing D'Lo, what you really ought to be upset at, in all honesty, is the other guys for not giving Darvin a better option.
Right.
Because there really wasn't one.
I agree with you. I also think, I saw, again, this is not to defend Russell or every shot of the 20.
We both said he played badly.
But like I saw a few comments, like some of these shots were like turnovers. That is true. But you know what else were like turnovers? Were the actual 7 turnovers that LeBron had. Like I mentioned, like that 8-0 run in the second quarter was fueled in part by 2 LeBron turnovers. And I'm not pinning this on LeBron. What I'm saying is that to pin it on D'Lo fails again, it's entirely too reductive for how this game actually was played. And I'll say this. They are not going to win if Russell shoots like this for the rest of the series.
Oh, no.
It's not going to be a long series. And, we'll have a long off season about what the Lakers need to do about this and what they do with him and all of that. The flip side is they're also not going to win if D'Lo stops being aggressive, if he goes back to shooting 4 shots a game or 5 shots a game. It's like, this is what, with more success, but like the basic aggressiveness that they had from Russell in this game is what they're going to need if they're going to have a chance to win this series. They need Davis to play like he did tonight, like he did in game 1 on Sunday. They need LeBron more or less. I mean, LeBron got real tired in this game. I don't think he scored in the fourth quarter. I know he didn't even shoot really for most of it. Missed a couple.
He had 4 points in the fourth.
4 points in the fourth. Okay, but he kind of faded late. It was his production. His first half was outstanding. And like the rest of the Lakers offense kind of disappeared some in the late. But broadly, like LeBron, they got what they needed out of LeBron, but he can't turn the ball over 7 times. Like that's way too many against the Nuggets. Reaves, Hachimura, and Russell all have to be significantly better. And the bench is going to have to shoot. It's, part of Russell taking 20 shots is because Hachimura took 4. It's because Reaves wasn't looking for a shot. It's because these other guys also. And so there's more to it than just Russell sucks.
This is the PTSD. This is in a lot of ways confirmation bias for a lot of Laker fans and NBA fans at large and NBA media who, we've talked about this before. I don't care what D'Angelo Russell does. He's somebody that people will always be skeptical of. Mm-hmm. So in a lot of ways, this feels like the result that people were anticipating, and cannot emphasize this enough. Neither one of us is trying to in any way downplay how bad he played in this game, because he was really bad and it hurt the team. But nobody on the Lakers raises this team's ceiling more than D'Angelo Russell. And in that sense too, especially on a night when nobody else had it, I don't blame Darvin for wanting to roll the dice on all of a sudden one of D'Lo's streaks turns.
Right.
And all of a sudden he hits 3 threes in the last 4 minutes and the Lakers are back in this thing.
He wasn't throwing the ball into the 8th row,
right,
when he was shooting.
I'm just saying, as opposed to other guys that just were seemingly just as out of the flow of the offense, but weren't looking to be a part of it.
It's also game 1, and I understand the Lakers can't afford to play around to this and that, whatever. Like, they're not as good as Denver. So in all of these things. But if you decide in game 1, halfway through the 3rd quarter or something like that Russell's just nope, it's old D'Lo again. Then you're screwed. You're screwed.
You're done.
So, you have to let him play. He took the shots that were there. He doesn't sound deflated or lacking in confidence. And, quite frankly, I don't want all of those shots, but if most of those shots are there in game 2, I want him to take them. Like this is just how it's going to have to be. And, if you don't like it, then maybe you switch point or find another point guard in the offseason. But for this series, I'm sorry. I mean, I know Gabe Vincent defensively has stuff to offer. And Dinwiddie has had his moments. For this series, your option is to play D'Angelo Russell 35 minutes to 40 minutes a game and cross your fingers and hope it turns out okay. That is your option.
More often than not this season, it has turned out well. So
they could. There are people suggesting, put Rui back in because people want Rui and seem to be willing to always excuse a sort of nothing burger performance and blame it on Darvin for not playing him enough or this, that, or the other. But like Rui, take D'Lo off the floor, put Rui on there with Prince and LeBron and AD and Reaves. You can try that. I think that lineup is going to struggle to run around with some of the guys Denver has on the floor. And, I think you do miss the ball handling and the facilitating. So we'll see. We'll see what they try.
Tonight wasn't the night to really complain about who should have been out there. Tonight was the night to complain that other than Taurean Prince, nobody gave LeBron and AD close to the amount of help that they
not even close. All right. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 23,000 subscribers. We will obviously be back for tomorrow to get you ready for game 2. I think it's fair to say, Andy, the Lakers must win this one because ain't nobody beaten Denver 4 out of 5 tries. Certainly not this Lakers team. So, all right, big game coming up, game 2. We'll see everyone tomorrow.